Small houses seem all the rage these days, and indeed we built one. You can see the entire extent of the house in this camera angle. It goes from that corner right over there to that corner right over there, and it's square. It's about 550 square feet. Now, the biggest reason that we built a house this size was because it was the size house that we could actually afford to build without borrowing anything in a traditional construction mortgage. We actually built this entire house on credit cards, which is not something that I would recommend everybody do. And then when we got to a particular point, we just stopped, and then we sat around and paid off the credit cards, doing absolutely nothing to the shell of the house. Obviously, there are some environmental benefits to building a house that is this small, but the primary benefit for us was the ability to not get a construction loan. If you don't get a construction loan and you're just building the house with cash on hand, that means you only have a mortgage on the property. And if that mortgage on the property is very manageable, it's much easier to survive hard economic times. With the mortgage that we have on this property in the Santa Cruz Mountains, if both of us lost our jobs, one of us could work at a minimum wage job and we would still be able to pay the mortgage and we wouldn't lose the property. That was our key goal here. The key thing here, however, is that you have to live with things that are incomplete and things that are a little bit smaller than normal. It's a little bit more obvious if you take a look at the back side of the house, which is missing a little bit of siding. The reason we don't have siding on this side of the house is that we do plan on adding a little bit to the footprint of the house eventually. And so we haven't put siding on this side because it'll actually bump out from here to a second bedroom. Obviously, that goes a little bit counter to the small house philosophy that we've been going after, but the reality is that second bedrooms are pretty handy and often you want them integrated into the same building. The problem with mortgaging the property only and not having a construction loan as you're quote-unquote building the house is that you have an awful lot of unfinished areas for an awful long time like we do here. This is our kitchen as it is at the moment, and you'll notice that we don't have drywall on the walls, we don't have a final countertop, we don't have cabinets, although we do have all the major appliances. We have a sink, we have a stove, we have a refrigerator, etc. This really is the key to living the small mortgage life, even in an area like the San Francisco Bay Area, is you have to be willing to put up with incomplete areas of your house for a long time. When you think about it, normally most people buy a house, it's instant house, and then you're paying for that house over 30 years. And we're basically doing that in the reverse. I don't expect this to actually take 30 years to complete, but it could very easily take us 10 years or so. So we built the shell, we paid off the shell, and now we're adding and improving as we have cash to do that. That means we're not pulling out any extra cash out of any kind of financing, we're not putting things on credit cards in that manner, we're not borrowing any money to finish the house. But it does mean that things like this are going to take some time to complete.